If you're a commercial construction company, you're not allowed to say that your difference is that you include both design and build, or that you complete projects on time, or that you stay within budget, or that you find creative ways to stay within budget, or that your organization has over 200 years of combined experience. Please stop saying that. It doesn't make you sound smart or like you've been in business a long time. So you need to figure out what it is about how you uniquely serve your target market, your ideal customers, that actually does stand out. And it may have nothing to do with on time, on budget, although obviously you need to be doing those things. It may have to do with other aspects of your process, other relationships and ecosystem within which you work, or the way that you're able to identify and avoid problems that your competitors don't necessarily know about.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Marketing Blender Show. I'm Dacia.
And I'm Daisy.
Now today we are talking about success tips for B2B marketing in the construction industry. And Daisy, do you know how many general contractors and people in construction basically say we don't need to do marketing? So I am over the moon that we are going to actually talk about this today and really give some practical insights about the role of marketing in construction, because I think there's just a lack of understanding around what impact it can have.
One of the interesting things as I was researching for this episode, just getting a sense of what are other marketing agencies talking about in this space.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about actual marketing. They're all talking about we can build you a website. Like literally all of them are just talking about this is your website, as if that is marketing. And it's such a common conception in the construction industry. Our marketing is our website, and it's not.
No, and you know, that's a really good point, because when we look at the social media in construction of the companies that are actually doing it, it is their portfolio and things already on their website. It's just regurgitation in small bite-sized posts without any thoughtfulness around their brand, their role, their selling cycle, their buyers. I mean, nothing. And thank you, like regarding marketing. Man, that's interesting.
I thought it was, but there are some people out there looking for help with marketing for construction industries, and we're going to give you real help.
Yes, exactly. So you guys, we actually have 17, knowing us, we'll probably chase a couple squirrels and there will be more, but 17 specific things we really want you to think about regarding marketing. But before we do, let's talk about some of the challenges that construction companies face, or companies in the construction industry, when it does come to marketing. And let's kind of tackle why marketing is such a mushy mess in this industry.
Obviously, when you can have really wild swings up and down with the economy, marketing feels like a risky line item to keep investing in, or to even think about beginning to invest in, because when things are good, things are good. Why would you need marketing? And when things are bad, you can't afford it.
It is feast or famine. You know, it brings up another one for me, because to your point, when things are good, the wind is at your back. And I really believe that it makes attribution of marketing, like, did it have an impact at all the more difficult, because it is very difficult to deconstruct. Was it just industry trends or the luck or whatever's happening at that exact moment in time versus what impact did marketing have on our success? So I think that's a really great one.
And just the length of the sales cycle. You might start a conversation and 2 or 3 years later it turns into something. And you might not even have the same people on your sales team as you did when that conversation started. So yeah, attribution is very difficult. And that's always one of the reasons that people say either marketing doesn't work or we can't tell if it's working or not.
Oh yeah. Like, even if it's a project that has achieved certain milestones where it is an official project, oh my gosh. I mean, almost every single time we're on a call with a client, it's, oh, that pushed to Q1 of next year, or that pushed again. So you're absolutely right, because the sales cycles are so unpredictable. Even after you win the bid, when is revenue actually going to show up? Which is another reason marketing is important, and strategy is important, to think about, is there anything that you can do to help balance, you know, those swings in when you actually bill and when projects actually go live.
You know what's funny? I've worked with a number of commercial construction companies over the years, and without exception, one of the things all of them tell me is that it's all about who you know. It's all relationship based. If you don't know the right people, you don't get to the table, you don't get to put in an RFP. It's like they come to the table with the idea that, well, marketing can't possibly have an impact because it's all about, do you know Billy Joe over at such and such that's working on a project? And if you don't, well, you're just out of luck.
Yeah. And, that relationship orientation, we're not going to argue that it's not true or not important, but I do think it is over exaggerated. And I do think it also creates risk in the business, because what if that relationship is owned by a salesperson and they go to your competitor? And just that heavy reliance on sales when sales has been an overburdened, under fire role in revenue growth for over a decade now. And it's still that one industry that just refuses in certain scenarios to realize like there's a buyer's journey much bigger than just who do you know.
And here's the other thing. You will eventually know more people than you do now. Why wouldn't you want to use marketing to help you start more relationships? And why wouldn't you want to use marketing to validate when those salespeople are out there starting new conversations, reaching out, doing the hard work of networking and business development? Why wouldn't you want your market to be primed so they already know the name of the company?
Yeah. Well, and another thing, why not use marketing to nurture those relationships and make your salespeople more effective, because it's carrying and sharing some of that burden? And why not add additional value to your customers through your knowledge base, not just your deliverables? Because one other thing is that it's actually really difficult to sell a construction company. So if ownership is later in their business and they're starting to think, wow, what if I'm going to retire and I don't have a successor, like an heir apparent? Valuation inside of construction has to be transferable. Business development and relationships are not necessarily transferable, nor do they necessarily hold value. So there's so many risks about not having a system of revenue growth versus just a relationship web of revenue growth.
Perfectly true. I would also say one of the top challenges I have when I am working with construction companies is differentiation is very, very difficult. So everyone says the same thing. Literally, I could pull up at random 10 construction websites and their brand messaging will be identical.
Oh my God.
And you know what? It's not surprising, because until you start digging deeper, you're going to be saying the same things everyone else is, because you know what's at a surface level important to your target personas, and so do all your competitors.
Yes, exactly. Oh, this one is such a big deal. I'm going to offend people here, but whatever. It's a commodity. Like, being able to build something amazing has become standard operating. So many people can do it. And I know that's probably going to hurt people's feelings, but quality, that's why you're in business. It's why you haven't gone under yet. Being able to hit a budget and hit a timeline. Come on.
On time, on budget. Everybody says that.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't matter if it's not true across the board. Everyone says it, which it means it's not different. So,
exactly.
Oh gosh. Okay, so you guys are going to hear a little bit of how we solve this. So you're going to hear a couple of these themes pop back up, but let's go ahead and dive in to what people should be doing in regards to their marketing in the construction industry.
Right,
so what's the first one you've got on the list?
The first one I would say is look at branding as more than just your portfolio.
Oh.
Because I know a lot of commercial construction companies that have a really outstanding, gorgeous portfolio. They built it well, they designed it well, they photographed it well, and that's all that their website has on it that's branded at all.
Yep.
Their social media isn't branded. Their other types of outreach aren't branded. Their RFPs aren't branded.
Nope.
There's
That's
so
a big
many
deal.
areas. Yes, so many areas where they could be creating an impactful and visually striking brand identity and brand impression, And they're not, because they think that, well, people will go to my website and they'll see my amazing portfolio and then they'll want to work with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody else has a great portfolio too.
Yes, exactly. And Daisy's bringing up something so important. There's so much to talk about in regards to your company. Do the work to distill down what is the character, what is the culture, what is the personality of your company. That is a brand. Be the kind where people go, man, I just love those guys. Or be the one where you are so buttoned up that everything about you is wow. Your fleet is wow. Your signage is wow. Your job sites are wow. Your social media is wow. Everything will communicate that expertise, that elite positioning, because when your competition screws up, you need to be the automatic ones that people are finally going to call. So I think this is just such low-lying fruit to just dramatically change the trajectory of future revenue. Love this one.
For sure. And we touched a little bit on differentiation earlier, but I just have to keep harping on it. If you're a commercial construction company, you're not allowed to say that your difference is that you include both design and build, or that you complete projects on time, or that you stay within budget, or that you find creative ways to stay within budget, or that your organization has over 200 years of combined experience. Please stop saying that. It doesn't make you sound smart or like you've been in business a long time. So you need to figure out what it is about how you uniquely serve your target market, your ideal customers, that actually does stand out. And it may have nothing to do with on time, on budget, although obviously you need to be doing those things. It may have to do with other aspects of your process, other relationships and ecosystem within which you work, or the way that you're able to identify and avoid problems that your competitors don't necessarily know about.
You know, it's interesting. So most of the companies that we work with, of course, are B2B, commercial, industrial construction. But there was one that we did work with a while back in residential, and going through their core values, going through these brand exercises, they were so vigorously clean, and on top of that, respectful. Like their treatment of each other, of the homeowners, of every single stakeholder in their environment. I mean, of the subcontractors, they were so diligent on these two things. And it was so fun, and it was really resonant, building just this significant brand that really represented something important about being human and about the role that you play, not just the final construction, the final building, the final home that you delivered. And we see that time and again. There is something valuable and important inside of these companies that supersedes just their skill, you know, and what they're capable of doing. So this is one probably more aimed at companies that have not been in the industry for a long, long time. But it's about create and commit to a niche and then grow from there. The more you specialize, the more effective, the more confident, the more relevant everything about your messaging, everything about your sales, everything about all of your marketing will be to help you open up doors. So this is definitely one of your favorite approaches, and people don't always want to hear this. I think there's a lot of fear, like, well, we could build C-stores and we can do retail and we can do this and we can do that. And they're so scared they won't make it if they don't say yes to everything, but it could not be further from the truth.
And sometimes it's not about even saying yes to everything, but they're out there actively pursuing every single type of construction project.
Yeah.
Which means that they are very, very scattered in how they're using their resources. If you have a history of just doing dentist offices, you know what? Double down on medical.
Yes.
And grow from there. It doesn't mean that's what you're stuck with forever, but it does mean you are going to own that market. You're going to find your champions within that vertical who will then recommend you. You know what? They did such a great job on my office. I don't even care if they haven't built a school before.
Yeah.
Or if they haven't built a restaurant before. You need to work with this company. So make sure that you're cultivating your core customers so well that you actually don't have to worry about how am I going to send out all my salespeople to try and find all the different types of projects, but how I'm making sure that those come to our doorstep because we've got our marketing, our sales, and our branding so in step.
Yes. And the things that you can say that are interesting, that make your marketing a value add, now become so poignant. So for instance, one of the clients that we worked with had a niche in healthcare, but it was really more in assisted living and end of life spaces. And the trends, the colors, what needed to happen when going through these processes, what they knew about those spaces was great content. Great content. And they were seeing the trends unfold as they were happening. They knew the geographies. They were able to share that on social media and in their blogs and answer questions that people were actually searching for. And it was so great. And it was very heart forward because their passion for this really ended up shining, and it didn't restrict them from doing other types. But wow, I mean, they were the dominant player in their geography in that space. And it was just really rich. At the Marketing Blender, we have fractional CMOs and outsourced marketing teams to drive your success. The two most common problems that we are approached about is how do we break revenue plateaus and accelerate success, or how do we attribute marketing to revenue impact? And the answer is that we build a system, because your marketing should be driving revenue, it should be driving your reputation, and it should be driving resilience. If you want to learn more, check out themarketingblender.com.
For commercial construction companies that already have that really broad portfolio, they're established, they're not worried about, can we prove that we can build XYZ type of structure? There's a next level that you can go to with marketing. And in that case, you've already got some key brand champions out there, but it's about building an even larger tribe where everyone knows your name and putting in place things like automation, things like marketing support for sales, all of the next level of evolution, the next level of maturation around your marketing. So if you've already been in business, you've got that 40, 50 years at your back, and you're well trusted in your community and you're looking at expansion, grow that tribe first and make sure that people know you're coming and they're glad.
I love that. And it's interesting because it does another thing. It kind of goes back to the brand component that we were talking about, is when all of your details are so buttoned down, where every email you get or every response and everything is really prompt and very predictable. It communicates that you've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. And it's not surprising. It's that elite status, that elite level of experience that you have achieved. But wow, that attention to detail inside of your communication, not just your delivery. I mean, it says so much. Says so much. I love it. So social media is one. We've already talked about it can't just be your portfolio. And what I liked so much is you were talking about building a larger tribe. There are a lot of people in the construction industry on social media. They are looking at trends. Construction industry loves to watch their competitors, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, be a part of the community and the people influencing the direction of the design and the trends and that type of thing. And so just this organic approach to being really human and thinking about what is interesting and what value can we add inside of social media, and be diligent. Grow your followers and, grow the people following you, their talent. And my gosh, we have deployed Pinterest so many times. And so many people think, what, Pinterest? I mean, isn't that a girly site?
It's for quilting.
Exactly.
What?
Exactly. And I mean, wow, there are so many things happening where architects are looking and people are comparing, and future homeowners, future owners, future developers are building boards and following things and sharing their portfolios out there. And if you are a part of that, I mean, you're way ahead of the game because it's not leveraged as much as it should be.
It isn't. And that's a really good point. People don't necessarily understand where they should be on social media. So probably not TikTok if you're in commercial construction, unless you have some kind of crazy cultural thing happening where your crews are always dancing on the construction site, in which case, fine.
And if so, please invite me.
Yes,
like, please let me come out and watch.
Tag us. We want to go see that.
Exactly.
But to your point, people YouTube is another fantastic place to be
Oh,
if you're in
yes.
commercial construction, because guess what? Everybody who touches that industry is on YouTube because they're builders and creators and doers, and they want to figure out how to do stuff. So what a great opportunity to do more storytelling.
Yes.
And on social media in general, if you're a commercial construction company, you need to be showcasing not just your projects, but your people. You need to be doing storytelling, and you need to be using social to grow relationships. You know you're in a relationship business. Why not leverage social media to help you with that?
Completely love it. So I'm going to use social media to jump over into digital marketing. This is definitely a place where we hear so many people in the construction industry being like, we tried that, didn't work for us. Snore. But let's talk about what it should look like. I actually do agree, and I'm not surprised when we hear somebody say it didn't work for us, because if they're paying to try to reach people that are awarding bids, that's not how those sales cycles work. However, there are people that influence those decisions, such as architects or other really important people in the stakeholder community, and paid digital marketing around those folks can be profoundly impactful in regards to your brand and building that tribe that can pour a lot of high quality work towards you because they respect what you're doing.
And one thing I'd like to bring up here is that we know real estate developers are incredibly difficult to reach on any platform.
Yes.
They do not like to open email or get messaged on LinkedIn. They're not out there having conversations on social media. However, all the people that influence them are, and the influencers and the referral sources are the people that you should be targeting with your digital ad spend. They should be seeing your ads on LinkedIn.
Yes.
They should be given helpful information that they can whisper into the ear of their real estate developer buddy that they're with on the golf course. That needs to be your focus if you're in commercial construction and you want to reach real estate developers. Do that through their trusted advisors. Do that through anyone who's influencing them, because all of those buyer personas are reachable on digital through paid marketing. And you need to make sure that you're treating each one of those potential influencers as a persona group, so you know what's important to them. Because remember, they have to be the one that takes that message on for you.
Yes, absolutely. And that, of course, leads me to, you don't always have to pay for it. You know, search engine optimization is organic. And so putting content out there, and go back and look at some of our earlier podcasts on this if you're not sure what a keyword strategy is or what we mean by SEO. But if you're trying to rank on Google, there is a very specific approach that you use, because you can get the information to find out what are people asking and what are they searching. And so even if they're not searching from a purchasing intent, they might be searching questions that you are ridiculously capable of answering, and that then builds your authority. So if you want to reach the masses, if you want to get your name out there, SEO is a fantastic way to do it, because you're simply meeting people where they are. They are asking questions and doing searches, and you are showing up at the point of interest. So we love SEO, and I think this is really overlooked because of that relationship aspect we mentioned, like, oh, it's who you know.
Right. Or people think that the only keywords out there are commercial construction in XYZ, Texas. It's all about, well, I want to be found by, the same people who would find my competitors online. Yeah. So unless you're one of the major construction companies, you're not going to outbid national commercial construction organizations that can go anywhere and that can spend hundreds of thousands on Google Ads nationwide every single month. So there are usually clusters of long tail keywords. Like you said, sometimes it's stuff that people have questions about that they need to have answered. Yeah. And sometimes it's just about getting really smart about your Google business profile and how you are incorporating local SEO onto your website. Because trust me, that is not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do well. So a lot of your competitors are going to be missing the boat entirely on that. And another place they're going to be missing is Google reviews. So if you want to show up at the top of the Google Maps, that 3-pack of, here are the top 3 construction companies in this city, if you have more reviews than all of your competitors, you will be at the top of that. That's the number one item that Google is going to look at and reward. So make sure you're out there and you're soliciting reviews. And remember, it doesn't just have to be Well, it was the property owner or the real estate developer. Everybody who touched that project and was positively impacted from working with your construction company, get them to leave you reviews. Get them to leave you reviews with photos, and you'll get even more views.
Oh, gosh. And that brings me around to all of these things that you and I have just been talking about can be used as sales tools. Your salespeople should be on social media. They should be commenting on your information. They should be adding value to their customers and commenting on all of that, or vendors or construction partners. There's so much they can do. They can use high quality blogs to use to answer inquiries or follow up or add value when they're checking in on something, and they might say, hey, we wrote this blog or we did this YouTube video the other day. Google Ads, so good. I mean, there's so many resources that a salesperson, if they're really being thoughtful about their communication and their follow-up, can really enrich their ability to add value and to bring and deliver the wow on the sales side.
I'd like to actually go back to one of the earlier tips around niching down and specialization. If you have a specific specialty, that was a lot, that you do serve, finding a professional group that serves that type of business or property owner where you can add value, that's a really good way to solidify and anchor your position as, we're the go-to guys in this space.
Oh, such a good one. Such a good one. That also reminds me, those are really great areas to be able to get public relations or PR, where media is paying attention to you, because there are publications specific to that. There are reporters or online influencers that write about these specific industries. And if you are an expert in that space, they're constantly looking for new content. You can be quoted, you can submit things, you can build relationships with people and create a scenario where you're being talked about as the go-to expert. And then, of course, that PR filters back into all of the other marketing that you're doing, especially social media. But wow, there's nothing like a third-party endorsement from somebody who is a real thought leader, a real contributor in the media space or in the thought leadership space, talking about you, asking for your opinion, and bringing you into that conversation.
Sure. And I love the note around public relations, because when most construction companies think about PR, they want to have their project being talked about, which is great. That's fantastic. There's a new such and such going up over on the corner of whatever. But if you really want to get PR that has legs, you need to be looking at what's the story and what's your impact in your community, because every single construction company touches so many human beings.
Yeah.
In their community. If there are ways that you are adding value beyond another building going up, that needs to be a story that you're telling and that you're getting eyes on from local news, because the way that your teams interact with the community, the jobs that you're creating, the way that you're changing neighborhoods and communities by the things that your team is building, there's a lot of human interest storytelling that can go on around that.
Yeah, it makes me remember back Bison, who, for our audience, they build outdoor patios and rooftops and that type of thing. So they sell into the construction industry. They had so much insight around outdoor spaces and the trends that were happening right after COVID. And that's the type of thing where you are front row to the hottest, most talked about, most frustrating, most overwhelming scenario. And you've got a very unique, very niche point of view around that that's not being circulated. I mean, it's that type of thing. Like, you have to be very careful to avoid the curse of knowledge, where you're taking what you know for granted or what you're seeing for granted. No, what you're seeing and what you're thinking and what you specialize in, it took you years and years to be good at seeing that and realizing that and recognizing it. And so slowing down and realizing you can gift that back to the market, back to the media, back to anyone. This is profoundly good marketing fodder. But too often it's just next bid, next big, next relationship, next thing, business as usual. And then they're really surprised why they're just kind of victims of the ups and the downs and, the feast or the famine.
One more note on PR, awards, recognition. Now, not only do you want to gain that for your leadership and your construction company, et cetera, but think about how your sales team can leverage nominating other people in the community for those awards to help build relationship.
Yes.
Because who wouldn't want to get a note saying, you know what, I really admire the last project that you did.
Yeah.
I drive by it every day and I'm blown away. I want to let you know I nominated you for this or that, something that you can, in your local community do.
That is real relationship.
Exactly.
Holy cow. Exactly. And, we do, though, want them to be nominating themselves for awards.
Absolutely.
Too often we do see, it doesn't really matter. Guess who cares about awards? Architects.
Real estate developers.
Developers.
Ooh, I want my trophy project.
Thank
Can
you.
these people help me get it?
Exactly. And so if you're winning awards at the banquet ceremonies that they are attending, that you're being announced in the magazines that they're reading, hello. Like birds of a feather flock together. They do respect and relate to that. And even, if you're a great company to work for, apply for, best employer. Like every single big city has it. I mean, there's so many of these, and they're really, really important to your growth goals because that authority, again, that third party endorsement, huge, so important. We brought one up earlier, and so I'm going to move on a little bit. Did I forget anything on PR?
No, that's all on PR.
Okay, sweet. We brought this one up earlier, and I want to just return to it again because we were talking about it as a challenge, but marketing can and should help nurture existing relationships. Like you mentioned it in automation, and I kind of threw in, hey, it can help share the load or lighten the load of salespeople. But this one's really important, I think, I think this industry is so much, what have you done for me lately? And if you are not advocating for yourself and you're not reminding clients what your real capabilities are, especially if it went beyond, and you're not celebrating the work or sharing the milestones or doing any of that consistent nurture, from the brand, not the salesperson. I mean, it's so huge. And again, building that sustainable relationship where a single person or single organization gives you more and more and more bids.
For sure. We always see that organizations that focus just as much on how do I continue to delight the customers that I have, they do better than the ones that are just, where's my next deal? Where's
That's
my
right.
next customer? Where's the new shiny customer that I didn't have access to before?
Yeah.
But I think actually a lot of commercial construction companies understand the repeat business model.
Yes.
Because all the successful ones that I know, man, they get entrenched with a developer or a team or an architect, and they're just like, they're churning through it. And that's because there is such high risk in changing contractors, changing construction companies, because there's so many moving parts, so many unknowns, so many people have been burned through this, that it's hard to change, which is good for you if you're the
guy.
Incumbent.
That's right.
But if you're not, to your point earlier, you're waiting for that other guy to mess up. Make sure you're there to pounce when that happens.
Exactly. And it does happen. Being top of mind in this industry is so important. And here's another one, though. So let's say the incumbent doesn't mess up, but that company is growing so much, they're developing so much, they have so many projects that now they need more than a single provider. You just can't automatically say, oh, well, that's so-and-so, that's their client, we'll bid high on this one because we know they're going to get it. And it's very unlikely. Ooh, be careful on that one, because especially if you're watching some significant players grow and expand, you want to be a part of that expansion. And sometimes it doesn't have to be kicking someone out, but I love that one.
For sure. And I wanted to dive back into what developers care about for just a moment, because
nice.
I have a little list for my folks out there. So if you are trying to catch the attention of real estate developers with your messaging, understanding the only things that matter to them is incredibly important. So these are things like, how do I work on bigger and more prestigious projects? How do I get access to more funding for my next projects? How do I get faster sales or lease ups? How do I improve the profitability of my projects? How do I get my next marquee project where I'm the one who's on the cover of the magazines or being given the awards? Those are the things that developers care about. And if you can help them make progress toward their goals, you're going to get their ear when no one else can.
Bravo. That one. You guys, make sure to stop, go back, write those down, and figure out how to align your messaging with that, not just on time, on spec, on budget. Okay, and then final thing, I know this is like one of our eternal soapboxes. Marketing is for talent attraction also. So if you're growing, and I don't know, I've heard that it's really difficult to maintain and grow talented teams in today's market. Please, they are watching. Your future employees, your future subcontractors, they are paying attention to you. And so you really, really want to make sure to get this right. So final wrap up for our folks.
Sure. I would say that in construction, more than almost any other industry, having really tight alignment between business development, sales, and marketing is incredibly important. Those are different roles. They could be shared by some of the same people, but business development is about that long-term planning for building relationships and nurturing them. It's one-to-one or one-to-a-few. Sales is that one-to-one, how do I close deals? How do I get this across the finish line? Marketing is designed to be one-to-many. So you need to be thinking about how can I reach as many people as possible so my business development folks have an easier time starting relationships and my salespeople have an easier time getting deals.
Alignment. Yes, exactly. Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you got a lot of value and you've got some things to really take action on. Now, if you did, please hit that like button, and even better, hit subscribe, because this is what we do every single week, is really work to give you straight information that you can take action on. And you could tell your brother, tell the person that owns a contracting company that you know, tell your grandma, tell your niece that's in marketing, tell everybody. Come check out the Marketing Blender Show, and we love you for it. Onward and upward.